recording. Okay, just give me a minute, please. Okay, to just brush up, I don't know why he's saying this thing, but let it be, no issues. So there's nobody in the waiting room, no? Because I need to make sure. This is really sometimes frustrating. We are still waiting for Santosh and so okay, no. So at this point, we have learned the basic BA, process. What BA gets, how he works, what are the different tools and techniques he should use. Was the basic underlying thought process of utilizing a particular tool. We've seen use case in detail. We understanding what are the document as an output. We've seen the template. Yeah, we need to practice on the template. That's fine, and we are going to do that. This can be a kind of putting or fill in the blanks as far as putting the things in the template. The most thought process, how to capture requirement from zero to end, is basically using use case or using something like Excel toolset. So these tools are really critical. These tools basically can make and break a typical BA. So these tools we'll study. We spend quite good amount of time on use case, so you can understand the philosophy of requirement. You can understand the system boundary, the priorities, the sequence. The actors means the user who are going to use the systems, the passive actor who are basically kind of hidden users which can propel, which can support these prime actors, and how the overall functionality works. And as I've seen the use case diagram created by Usha, created by you as well. So for that matter, it's really coming up good. So the thought process, you are good. You can warm up your hands on various tools like Lucid Charts, or you can just start drawing on pen and paper. And whenever you join organizations, now whatever tools they use, they'll give you training. Even if you said they'll give you training anyway, because these are really crucial part as in BA goes, right? So we are trying to understand, trying to make try to live the BA's life, right? So that's why. So now the next step is basically using those templates, trying to understand how these templates are used. We understood that. Now how to fill in these blanks in the typical BA thing is just a trivial or tactical matters. And this is how overall we'll build this template as well. And I'll share the template with you. And I'm still trying to work out the overall. These are proprietary templates, so I'm trying to work out a way to share those with you. So give me a couple of days more to share this template with you. I think we understood the template in depth yesterday. We'll revise today, so you understand the template and the requirement or the fitment of a template in a BA's life, as we talked about yesterday. And then we quickly move to the actual tools usage for a BA. This is kind of final stage. So you're going to use, learn at least, I'll say, learn at least Excel in depth, the way we, learned the use case diagram in depth. After you learn Excel in depth, then we'll move to other tool sets. We'll have a good know-how how to use these tool sets. So these can be fishbone diagrams, SWOT analysis, all those gamut of tools. There are around 12 different tools. This is basically to know the tool and a simple way how to use it quickly. Okay, but Excel, you need to have at least two tools which you have to use in any way, because 90% of the organization normally use pen paper for UML as well, and you can just capture the photo with your mobile and put it on the cloud server of a company, so that everybody is there to review. And we use Git. We will talk about Git in quality control or Scrum as well, for that matter. Git is a online repository for documents or image. Just like we have Google Drive, Git is used for a particular project or a particular engagement. So as Infosys employee, you are doing requirement gathering with State Farm, so there will be a repository named State Farm attendance attendance management system, or AMS, State Farm AMS, something like that. So there are some nomenclature also which we'll see in QA, how to use this nomenclature, how to use this standardization of document nomenclature. Whenever you save your use case diagram as an image, you need to follow this nomenclature. This nomenclature really makes you mature as an BA, because the way you work, even if you've seen my training in my PPT, the document names are normally relevant to the title and the actual, if it's not a template, then the project name or the date. Date is basically for the versioning. So in which date this document got last updated. And we are going to talk about history in the documents we talked about yesterday, but we'll just revise it today, and then we'll start on Excel. Okay. I don't know, why Santosh is not joined yet, but I'll just wait, Santosh, and let's go ahead. Otherwise, I don't know, they might take some time. Okay. So use case, good diagramming, keep it up. Keep learning, keep doing it, and we'll learn it together. Also, we've understood what actually use case is. Depicted for it. Normally, it's a kind of name of a use case. The actual functionality description of a use case can be attached to the diagram, can be attached to encoded in the Excel sheet as well, or there could be a use case diagram and Excel sheet which is gets uploaded to the company cloud portal. It's just like like sending a WhatsApp. You upload this thing via a software which company have given you for your smartphone. So you just click, that use case diagram gets updated, whatever you captured. Plus you can add a couple of lines in an Excel sheet saying these many actors, these many use case, and those other detail which is required, as in date of modification, creation, authored by, and those other things. Whatever image you capture, as in whatever you hand drawn and capture the image, so you are the author of that image. This is basically if you're looking forward, this has a copyright thing, because whenever you capture or you create a diagram and capture by your phone, you are the owner, right? If you doing for anybody who is at who is paying salary to you, then that guy will be the copyright owner for the diagram whenever it's get uploaded to the company server, company cloud server. So this is how the ownership of the image, right, get transferred. And this is kind of implemented legally in various documents. When you sign employment contracts, they basically get the copyright of whatever you create in terms of supporting the software documents, right? So these comes under those purview. And then whenever you update this use case diagram and an Excel, that's the overall first version of requirement. So whenever you first upload, that's the first version. It's called draft release. Whenever somebody approves it, it's called first release. After approval, it's the first release. So normally release is labeled as one X point X point X point X. So there are 4 X's with a dot in between. This is called release number. And there could be a release label, Diwali 2020 release. There could be any name to the label given to the release, depending on the release manager. There's a position called release manager. So whatever you release get captured by this release manager in the archival, so that it's kept saved. It's collected in a backup, and all those disaster recovery process which organization follows gets attached to it. It's clubbed to that overall system, or the system of critical documents, because this is really important document, as we discussed earlier. So these documents get archived. This document goes to the overall Git, Git repository. We'll learn about Git. We'll learn about release management. We learn about why 4, why not 3, why not 5, and those things in our QA/QC training program. But just to understand, these documents, when you upload, they are part of repository. So whenever somebody asks you, where can I see the document? If the organization has given the right to him, then he will be able to see it. So whenever somebody asks, even CEO, CTO, there are some copyright issues. So whenever you share a link with somebody, the organization verifies his credential. So that's his responsibility. Normally, use case diagram are not shared across in the company, because this is copyright material. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to see here? Do you understand what I'm? Okay, great. Because this is serious matter. If you send WhatsApp, or if you share the image just for the sake of sharing with somebody, or somebody asks to you, that can create legal hassles. So let's not do anything like that as in BA. So whatever you get from a company, even if you click a photograph of a State Farm office, it's a copyright material for the company you're working for. So you shouldn't share those things with anybody else via your phone. And whenever you capture image on a phone, it's completely traceable to your phone, location, longitude, latitude, and various other things. So let's not do that. And if you're doing now, even for that matter, I'm a cybersecurity expert, certified trainer. So I'll tell you, share your photos with the least possible number of people, because there are identity thefts. In US, it's on a larger scale. In India, we still have various challenges, because our government haven't implemented laws in those strict sense as we have in US. But still, it's really advisable for you to, whatever you click with your phone, is traceable to your phone, traceable to your location, and there are various other tools and techniques nowadays. So whatever you share as a photo, you should think twice before doing that. For between us, there's no problem. I normally delete it whenever I receive it, I review it, and so on and so forth. So I normally keep it for just 24 days. And same, we'll flush out the BAQA group as well whenever we done with this training. So that's the normal procedure which I follow as a trainer. So you should also follow these things. Okay, so be careful whatever you're sharing within company, within within friend groups, or something like that. So be restrictive in such scenario. Okay, nothing dangerous, but it can put you into folds. So just try to be cautious. I'm trying to guide you on those things because there are quite a few complications happened in India as well as in US. So we need to be careful. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay. We understood overall the preconditions, we understood the flow of events, we understood the post conditions, we understood the difference between flow charts and the use case, right?
Yes. So the picture thing you're talking about, it's for this training or it's for the
general
work
life,
environment?
work environment as well as general life.
Okay.
So
Because
nowadays,
see, if something is good, I click the picture and I keep it for myself. So
that's okay.
that's okay.
Yeah, even if it's with you, that's really good. You can have a library on your laptop or your phone.
Yes.
You can have nowadays you get around 5 and 12 GB memory drive, so you can store all your images, and all those things. Not a big deal. But whenever you share, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Even in a work environment, it's advisable to share the photo directly. Whenever somebody asks, try to share him a link, right? Means on the company,
Yes.
they have something called a repository, cloud repository. What this repository, means there's a storage of a cloud purchased by the organization for a critical document share, which is normally used as a channel to share anything to anybody, because that channel is completely guarded, secure, safe, and they know whom to share with, whom not to share with, right? Because that decision power, when you share an image with somebody else, with the within the work group, it's put you into kind of soup. That's what I'm trying to say here. So
Yes,
let's
you
not do
should
that.
not share the things. I thought you're talking about this thing also.
No, yeah, I've talked in general because
Okay.
as a friend, or as a mentor, nowadays it's really not advisable to share things liberally. That's what I'm trying to say. Even
That's
on
true. We should not. Yeah.
and as much possible, use text, use links, use something like okay, there are okay, Santosh joined.
It
Okay,
applies
so
to
there are
even
certain sorry.
colleagues also. It applies to colleagues also. If you want to share anything with your colleague, maybe
That's
regarding some.
That's very right. That's very right. Because even colleague can report कि यार इसने मेरे को WhatsApp पे भेजा था और पता नहीं ये क्या है. And if he shows to somebody who is in audit department, he'll say, boss, this is a violation of a copyright material. Because whenever you start
It
working
has
with
to be
somebody,
clearly
if you
within
have
the
experience,
email
sorry.
company. It has to clearly be within the company emails, right? Through within the
Yeah,
within the
emails, and
company.
normally don't send as an attachment, send as a link to the repository. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Repository is a place where it creates a web link. Means whatever software you upload now, it gives you a web link with some numbers, hashtags, and on cryptic characters. This means that it's an authorized channel which is monitored regularly, which is basically have a clear authorization authentication processes, where sharing with anybody, whenever you share a link, it's the responsibility of the website to make sure whoever accessing has the right authorization. But whenever you share on WhatsApp or share on by email as an attachment, then it's your responsibility to share the document. So wherever you share the document, you have to really make sure it's completely not copyright material, and it's completely approved by the authors and the next approval authority. So I'm trying to make you understand the responsibility you carry as an BA, because BA is a very crucial member of a business team. You normally talk to all top bosses on day in day out. That's how the BA works, and BA is crucial in its role. Whatever he or she is doing, these are all very high level documents. Means whenever you're trying to design a system for somebody like State Farm, which is around 62 billion company, Infosys, which is around 300 plus billion company. So there are transactions between these two giants you are handling. So whatever you're doing, you need to think twice before sharing anything with anybody. This is a sample, right? You're not Infosys employee, I'm not State Farm, or I know nobody like that. I'm using these names because we need to understand the girth of the document sharing, girth of the overall, how we share the documents with somebody. Okay. So just, as a cautious, this is not the right time to, but it just, popped up because, I couldn't share the document with you yesterday because one of my partner has, some concerns. So I'm just discussing with him today, and most probably by today evening, I'll share those documents with you. So just bear with me for that. Okay. Sure. So I think we understood the use case. Hi, good evening, Santosh. Sorry.
We are sorry. We just came home, so that's why we got late.
I can understand. So we was just revising right now. Plus the issue pop up of copyright. So we were discussing on that. So I believe you heard that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we shouldn't share any document or images directly and make it a habit in a general life. And within company, you need to be extra cautious because it could violate some copyright material, copyright laws. Okay, let's go ahead. So we understand use case, right? We did the use case, homework. We did really good, right? So thanks to you guys, the way you participate, the way you spend your efforts. It's really great learning for me as well. Even I learned a couple of things. And I believe if you have keep practicing, try to put in use case for something like you're dropping your kid to your school. So try to create a use case. Try to create a use case for whatever sabji you like, how to make it, what are the ingredients used, how to pick them. If not available, how do you replace them, and so on and so forth. These are activities, alternate activities, parallel path, and concurrent path, and so on. So we'll learn more when you draw these use case. Keep sharing. Because if you share directly within the group, no problem. It's a part of training. So it's your ownership, whatever you share, and we are basically kind of sharing knowledge. Okay. So just above all, I'm trying to make sure, and I'll make sure whatever we collect as an image or data will get flushed out whenever we complete this course. Whenever we have this knowledge base, this knowledge base is not for the archival. This is for scraping. Only this presentation I'll share with you because it's a copyright material of Guru School, and as you are participants, you also own a copy of these things. Okay, so I'll share with you. Don't worry. We are still in a improvement stage. We are still trying to build it better and better. Okay, and that's how it works. So we learned about the business requirement document. It's basically a formal contract between customer and the company you're working with. So we talked about State Farm. We talked about Infosys. So this is a contract. It called statement of work. It called work order. There are various names, but normally in BA fraternity, it's called as business requirement document. BRD is a short form. So whenever somebody talks about, so did we receive the BRD? It means it can be a single mail. It can be a Word document with all those, copyrighted notices, tracking history and all those things. That's advisable to have a Word document with all this document history, because who authored this, who approved this, who actually updated it, and so on and so forth. So we'll have a look at that document history table as well today. So we'll know the flow of documents and how the history is tracked or traceable. And this also basically a part of tracking requirements, the requirement traceability, big critical point, which we talked about quite a few times, right? And try to learn this new buzzword because it will help you to work as an BA. And if you talk to somebody, if you use this word, it's better for them also, so that they know, okay, you are getting into technicalities of a business roles. So it's really advisable to use this word whenever you can. Okay. And then we talked about system requirement document. Again, the ownership of BRD is the business or the client's ownership. So client gives you. Okay. So it's copyrighted to the client. System requirement document is authored by BA, is the BA's creation. And whenever you push to the company repository, it's a company's copyright. So company's ownership of the document. BA, you are the author, you are the owner. You will update, modify, get it approved from various stakeholders. We've seen those stakeholders. We've seen how the environment works for a SRS. SRS is a basic lineup for a product, support, or service, whatever the document is intended for. So it should have sufficient details like understanding requirement, the understanding of environment, understanding the priority, understanding of a client in terms of his thought process when he wants the attendance system to be live and kicking. This is also included in the SRS. This is in a basically executive summary para, where we see the State Farm wants his attendance management system in the second quarter of 2021. So as a project manager, he'll decide on the basis of that statement how many team members should involved, how many team members will work on this project. Will it be 10? Will it be 2? Will it be 15? Will it be 30? This simple team composition also depends on how BA or how client have driven the requirement specification to a clear level. So the more you clearer, that's why we use use case to make the requirements clear and crisp and documented for approvals, so that whatever is there, there's no ambiguity. That's how this document should be in ideal theoretical scenario. But practically, yes, we keep improving. We talk to client, if not daily, at least weekly basis, and that's how that Scrum is also planned. So we have somebody called product owner in the Scrum. I'm just giving you a head start. Product owner is a person who have thought this idea basically in ideal scenario, but it's somebody who can talk, who can explain the vision of the development is required, and he is the product owner who normally be in a Scrum meeting on a weekly basis. So he denotes his 1.5 hour on weekly basis to make this product more intended for the current scenario, and that's how the product is getting shaped up in a normal agile methodology, right? So the system requirement specification establish the basis for the agreement between customer and the contractors or the suppliers, because this is going to devise the complete team, to define the complete team required to make this product, make this project, or make these support services, and so on and so forth. So how the software product should function, how the software project should function, how rigorous and the rigorous assessment of requirement before the more specific system design stages. So based on SRS, the solution architect, the project managers, and all the other parties will start defining the product and project. We've seen this, right? And SRS is basically an evolution of SRS is basically evolution of BRD. So we define or design this SRS based on business requirement document or the statement of work or the work order signed by particular client. Okay, I think we are quite clear on the requirement. Yeah, go ahead. Any question?
What's S stands for in SRS? What's that?
System requirement specification or solution requirement. See, okay, as per the cultural and what I can say nitty-gritty of the regional driver goes, there can be a project manager who normally wants to call SRS as a solution requirement document because this pertains to a particular solution. But there are normally in business, analyst or project management fraternity is called as system requirement documents. But this thing happens. Let's not go into fight. Red is better than blue or green is better than red, and so on and so forth. I want you to enable with the tools and technology and the knowledge of a BA. So that's my intention. So there, see, the name could be something else. In Infosys it's called SRS, in Patni it's called solution requirement document, and so on and so forth. So things could change to say max around 5 to 6% overall as per your knowledge. I'm trying to share the best practices with you. So that's how we'll work. Okay.
Okay.
So there could be a bit of labeling differences. Sure. Let's go. So I also understood what is the difference between BRD and SRS. BRD is a start, SRS is a next mature document who actually created by the development partner like Infosys, and the BRD is ownership of State Farm. SRS is the ownership of Infosys and done by the BA. That's you, right? So we create SRS, we fill in the blanks from the BRD, and we elicit it, we evolve the requirement to the next level where it should be evolved to a level where a development team can start working on it, or the solution architect or the various design project or product design designers can get started on their work. That's how the SRS maturity should go to. But there are revision, repetitions, and iteration. So it's not like the draft should be completely matured and it's get evolved. That's why normally business analysts have almost up to 30% time of a project durability, project duration. So if there is a project of 1 year, you have almost 4 months to mature a BRD, and you normally works on concurrent project. So there's a BRD of attendance management system. There's a BRD of bank's bank's ATM machine, new machine rollout. There'll be a BRD of n different projects. You work concurrently, so you have to think in that direction. How to create, keep the solutions independent, and you will do it because it's a part of overall ecosystem how it's built on BA. So don't worry on that part right now, but try to understand. You normally work on time sharing basis with multiple projects because of the criticality of your knowledge, because of the criticality of the tools you use, right? And the criticality of the documents also you share with the all top managements. Okay, so we talked about BRD and SRS. Let's move ahead. We talked about BRD. I'll share the template with you. Normally BRD is not followed with the template because these documents are normally created by top bosses. So normally it's just a mail or a text file or a kind of message came to you with 6 to 7 bulleted requirements, and we need to start working on SRS. There could be the next revision of a BRD document which is templatized, means they'll have the author, approver, and all those document history, which we'll see in we'll try to understand in the next couple of slides. And that's how this is the base which is come from client, and we as in BA will start working on that. Okay, and there's something called SRS. We talked in depth about this. Has normally overall requirement summary. It also has a dependencies. It also have the interportability requirement, the wish list, the best to have, not best to have. We need to understand the cost effectiveness and so on and so forth. And then we will include from the organizational standard quality management systems, the versioning and life cycle impact of environment. So this is cut copy paste from the organizational quality management system, which we'll learn as a next step over here, where we cut paste the versioning and release management life cycle impacts. Okay, so that's also important, and that's what makes the document really completely foolproof with the traceability. And will all these release management step, this document will be a complete SRS, so can be released as the first release, which will be X point X point X point X. Normally it labeled it called as 1.1.1.1 and normally labeled as the first release of attendance management system State Farm. That's a standard way of labeling the document release or labeling the overall project directory in the cloud archival system of Infosys or cloud archival system of the company you're working for. Okay, have you understood till this point? Any confusions? There are a lot to learn. There are a lot to understand. There are a lot to what you can say. Lot to basically grasp, and we'll learn day by day. So don't worry on the big buzzwords, but that they're a part of kind of life of BA. So we learn, we grow. So those scenarios. So don't worry too much. But yeah, I'll keep pushing these words to you so that you'll also start using it. Okay. Any confusion at this moment? I'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes.
No.
Okay, Santosh.
झोपलेला असतो शाळेमध्ये. Yes sir. No. Sorry.
Okay, you understand, right? And we are learning buzzwords, so it's like kind of overall progressive things to understand and learn. Okay, Sheetal, have you understood?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sure, no problem. See, I need this, positive things saying yes or no, because, then I can stop, I can, put some more time. Okay. Now let's go to the FRS. FRS is not owned by BA. So this is like, okay, I have given you Apple, now do what you want to do. Almost. Only FRS is being approved. So BA are normally as an approval authority, so that whatever has been keyed in the FRS, this is like, you check your kids' math paper. टीचर ने चेक किया है, टीचर ने मार्क्स भी दिए, फिर भी मैं एक बार देखती हूँ यार टीचर ने गड़बड़ तो नहीं किया. So this is something like that, because all the project project management team are much senior normally to the BA, so they have more say in the document. You normally don't contradict with them, but you want to work really diplomatically, and this is where the lady thought process comes. The ladies can do it better because they can contradict and talk diplomatically more than male, because I believe I don't want to go into gender fight here, but this enables ladies more how to talk, how to get things agreed upon, And this is where the diplomatics of BA start, because we want to make sure whatever I have created, whatever BA as in you as in BA created and authored the document have been expanded to a functional requirement specification, how it's contradicts with the document. If you find those things, you need to put it to the senior management कि saying boss मैंने उसको फिलिप्स का बोला था, उसने सोनी का लिखा है, सोनी का 3 times ज्यादा कॉस्ट है, ठीक है, उसका यूसेज अच्छा है वगैरह वगैरह सब सीखे, but this is what, so you need to basically put this risk in the risk register saying we might skew over the cost. क्योंकि अपन ने क्या बोला था, means I am just thinking aloud as far as our thought process of standard sample which we think through the whole workshop. So अपन ने बोला था फिलिप्स का $100 का है, सोनी का $400 का है. So फिलिप्स का नॉर्मली 90% चल जाता है, सोनी का अगर आपके पास एकदम लाइट ब्लू आइज है तो आइरिस स्कैनर अच्छा है, लेकिन सिर्फ लाइट ब्लू यूज होता है करके I couldn't increase my procurement cost by 4 times, right? Or 3 times, means it's just a sample. So I'm trying to make you understand how your document is cost effective to the project. So whenever somebody says, boss, normally ये कंपनी में होता है कि we need to really cut down the cost. So ये statement, whatever written by you in the risk register as well as your SRS, does make a lot of importance, and you will be awarded for such initiative. Okay, you thought through this, you analyzed this, you worked on this in depth, you researched your, you did your work well, you researched in depth. That's how overall BA get appreciated. And believe me, BA normally works with all the top management. So appreciation of this job is quite on a higher scale than the project managers, than the overall project team as well. Because failures, you need to really, steer away from making mistakes, steer away from, putting up information from others, try to verify it at a level, right? So whenever somebody says, अरे यार फिलिप्स का दिखने को ठीक नहीं है, but सोनी का बहुत अच्छा है, but boss प्राइस भी तो ज्यादा है, तो ये मेरे को पता रहना चाहिए कि why I'm suggesting Philips and why I'm not suggesting Sony. Okay, so this thing happens. So I'm trying to make you sure whatever you key in your document is basically analyzed and thought by you. Okay, so releasing your first draft or updating the document, you need to on the back of mind think through, like whatever I'm suggesting is going to get expanded, evolve well in the project, product or services. So how important it is for the other team as well. And these are all very senior people, much senior in the organizational ladder than you as well. Okay, so try to understand the criticalness of a BA. I'm not trying to make you frightened, but that's the overall table which you work on. Okay, sure. And normally BA gets a separate cabin because you call too much, you have a meeting too much, and this is a kind of parcel of a job. You get a separate cabin, and even more of the PMs, they sit in a cubicles. You understand it? Cabin and cubicle.
Yeah.
And this depicts the seniority also, because if you're in a cabin and the project manager you are reporting sitting in a cubicle, because of the role and the requirements, the way you work, because there are CEO cities from clients who came and meet you in your organization as well. Okay, so that way you have a really higher life strata than many senior persons as well. Okay, so just think it through. Just try to imagine you as an BA, because as far as GURUSCHOOLS goes, we'll make sure you have all the arms and animation to clear the interview. Even we'll be there whenever you go through the interview. We'll make you practice. We'll also have a hands-on workshop we are having, and we will have in depth also. And then we'll make sure whenever you join, you have a on-job support as well, so that you could get if you fall in a soup, or you want to really research on something, you can share with us and we'll do the research for you. So don't worry on that part. We'll work together and we are there for you. But you need to understand the criticalness of a BA. You need to understand what chair you are going to sit in, right? And that's why I am telling you, the overall requirement is more of thought process than tools. But tools support this thought process, and tools make you share this knowledge and prove it to the others as well, whatever you thought clearly, crisply. And that's why the use case come in. That's why the Excel will come in. Okay, so FRS. Now FRS is basically all what you created in SRS goes into FRS, almost 100%. Means even if you put an assumption, even if you put a risk statement saying कि Sony का 4 time cost है Philips से, so ये भी सब FRS में जाता है. Is there only in different headings and different topics. We'll see to that. And if we have time, we'll also create a functional requirement. Okay, this is just to enable you to understand how the BRD is getting converted to SRS and SRS to FRS. I'll keep this at last because this is best to have kind of scenario rather than good to have. Okay, so let's see, let's move on. Okay, so okay, just to review these points. Functional FRS normally have functional as well as non-functional requirement. These are performance requirement. We have a business process model. This normally comes from the solution architect who think it through the theoretical reason or theoretical activities which are required around the project. So it's basically more of fitment to your current organizations than whatever you created for the state farm business process business model or the technology map, right? So FRS is owned by the company as the SRS, but FRS is more project implementation than the business requirement. Now we are moving to the implementation phase. So FRS is a Bible for a project, product or services the guys or the team is going to work on. So it have all those flows diagram. It will add to the flow diagram because how we going to implement. Now it will be more specific. So Philips iris scanners come with 6 pin. So how to calibrate ye pin kidhar jata hai, wo pin kidhar jata hai, how to connect this thing, how to build infrastructure, how many server does it need, because SRS don't have this detail, FRS will have this detail. They are basically implementing whatever vision you have desired, you are evolved with and making it a reality. That's the overall requirement, or that's the thought process of FRS as a document. It also have a conceptual model. It comes from the high level HLD diagram you created, which is based on the number of dabbas, logical modules which are need as in functionality, criticality, and then you'll have this conceptual model which can go to n level details in the FRS. Then there's a logical model for the business functionality, the interdependence or the dependence, activities and other work element which are required. So who's going to monitor the server? It'll be part of FRS. Who's going to take the backup of the system? It's a part of FRS, not part of SRS. Okay. And then stakeholder map. We don't have stakeholder map in SRS because we don't know what the team will be, right? So SRS stakeholder map is the responsibility of overall the PM, project manager. So this is normally owned by project manager or solution architect, depends on the project team forming. Team hierarchy defined by the senior management for a particular team, particular domain, and so on and so forth. And requirement traceability matrix. This is come or copied from the SRS and evolved to the next level. So who is going to work on which requirement? Procurement division will be gone to Ravindra to procure Philips and Sony in the numbers whatever required. The development team as it reports to PM named Keshav. So Keshav will have 80% of this requirement as in software development unit, and the integration and this infrastructure requirement as well, and so on and so forth. So these requirements which are mentioned in the SRS have been given the association of a next level owners. Okay. Project manager, procurement specialist, quality assurance guy, quality preventions guy, the audit team. Normally, BA normally don't deal with audit teams. As an owner of SRS, you have the auditory proof. Okay, what do you mean by auditory proof? Just try ask. How many of you know what do you mean by auditory proof, or what do you understand by auditory proof? Auditory fact. Anyone can throw light as per his thought process, please.
No, we don't have any idea.
Okay, okay, I'll go ahead. What do you mean by auditory proof? Auditory proof is basically an entity or a document which can be called as evidence normally in normal layman's term. Evidence to prove whatever you are supposing or suggesting. So when you do some R&D, when you do research and development, you try to create some documents, you try to create some web link, web page link, or some photos which are taken as an auditory proof. So when somebody says ki I am suggesting Philips than Sony, so you should have some auditory proof like a quote on his Philips website and Sony's website to compare the cost, or an invoice or a kind of quote received from the concerned company in your email as in PDF file, right? If you ask a quote to Philips, they normally send a PDF which comes from their SAP, SAP system. SAP is basically an ERP. ERP is enterprise resource planning. So you have a software which have all the details for an enterprise in and out processes, okay, even including the business processes and so on and so forth. So ERP is basically a software which is span all over the enterprise, all over the company. Even Infosys uses SAP for their accounts and salary processing and various other system as well. So whatever you do, you'll get an invoice from SAP in Philips, and it's normally a PDF file span on 2 pages. First page is basically Philips scanner, Philips iris scanner, the model name, model number, the dealer's price, the price after discount, and all those taxes and all those required. This will be a table, and down you have a number where the actual end cost which you're going to pay from your pocket. And the next page will be all the obligations, or their auditory traceability, their auditability remarks, which gives you, these are for delivered within the US, within Midwest region, within East Coast region, and so on and so forth. So all the restrictions and the copyright goes on the second page, where the invoice clearly mentioned who manufactures this, where he have license to send this instrument to, and so on and so forth. So these auditory proofs are basically the evidence for whatever research you do, and you have to push this auditory proof into a separate folder called audit trace. That's the normal label of the folder as far as Infosys and Patni goes. This label could change. This label could be called as evidence. Okay, so these are facts verified, or these documents are verified whenever there's an audit. There are normally process audit or progress audits, and these auditors who are going to do audits will go to that folder and check for whatever documents are uploaded. Again, one thing, whatever you upload to a cloud has been labeled, is created by you or updated by you. Okay, and that's how they can make their trace. If Ravindra have updated a UML diagram or an invoice, they can trace that file to you. Okay, and this is inbuilt facility in the company's archival system. So don't worry on when, where, and all those things. So it will be done in the back end. So it's the system who normally keeps audit trail of these things. So these are called logs or audit trails. Okay, so this is all about auditory facts. As in BA, you should be able to generate this auditory fact whenever you do research. So whenever I say I'm going to use red label tea powder, okay, your Sasuma might ask you, कि यार red label क्यों है यार, society क्यों नहीं? I'm just thinking sample out of raw sample here. So आपको ये बताना है कि red label क्यों, सोसाइटी क्यों नहीं. रेड लेबल $40 का आता है, सोसाइटी $60 का आता है. रेड लेबल में वो क्या नेचुरल एलिमेंट्स कुछ है, पता नहीं, आई डोंट रिमेंबर व्हाट ऑल देयर. सोसाइटी इज जस्ट अ ब्लेंड टी पाउडर, सो दैट्स व्हाई रेड टी से टेस्ट अच्छा आता है. So this is kind of auditory fact you're trying to tell her. And what's the how she can trace? She can taste the tea, and she really likes, she'll appreciate you. That's how the whole process works, right? And that's how this traceability is very important from a fact of an organizational maturity, from overall how the requirements has been evolved, and this is how the credibility also shared. So as in BA, whatever you do research and development, if you have the auditory fact attached to that, even the project manager won't hesitate to support your claim for owning that R&D credit, right? And that's how these awards are given to the business analyst. That's how business analyst is really visionary, visible post throughout the organizations, because you are the front facing project starter, project visionary. You build the overall project length and breadth. You try to create the project product support so that the organization will be benefit in terms of profit, in terms of maturity, in terms of all these quality mumbo jumbos as well. Okay, we'll learn traceability detail in quality assurance. But I believe you got an idea, right? What is auditory? What is evidentiary fact? Any confusion at this moment? Please, keep saying yes, no, whatever you want to say. Please be vocal about it, because it's. I feel bad, if I'm a talkative person, so I keep talking. So I want your response in terms of so that it's a two-way, right? and you can stop me wherever you feel anything is really going haywire, is too technical, and this thing happens. So please bear with me. Okay, so I'll take it you understand whatever we discuss about auditory fact and overall traceability part of it, right? This is a good responsibility of BA, and BA must understand these things, right? And we'll learn in depth whenever you do quality assurance. There's a quality assurance which will be the next section, next training session after this, where we'll learn how to make sure whatever organizational quality has been implemented in your documentations, in your work as well. We'll see to that, so don't worry on that part. Okay, I'll move ahead. Okay, we'll do this thing later because I need to share the template first. Functional requirement. Okay, there are some additional things which comes in FRS. We have installation setup requirement, uninstallation summary, integration requirement, supportability, how the support will work for them. Because every software you create, every product or every service you create, there is a implied requirement of supportability, warranty, guarantee, and all those things, right? So how do we set up a team for that? Because if somebody calls ki boss isme lal rang nahi dikh raha hai, so there should be somebody to answer his call, his or her call, right? So those things. Then there are legal requirement summary कि जो हम लोग प्रोडक्ट सपोर्ट बना रहे हैं किसके लिए बना रहे हैं, कौन से रीजन के लिए बना रहे हैं, have you applied for the license, have you applied for the approval from the required government departments, and then if then put these approvals in the auditory folder, so that if an audit comes or if somebody wants to check, even as a BA can be auditor, and will learn about how to do audits in depth in QA and QC. So you'll be kind of just shy away from giving even auditor exams as well. If you want, we will help you, and you can be a software auditor as well for that matters. I'm a certified software auditor. I was they are a part of quality prevention team, quality assurance team. Okay, and we'll talk on depth whenever in the next trading segment. So there are some legal requirement summary. There is a risk summary. Risk means whatever you perceive as a risk of making or breaking of this software solution, making or breaking of this solution envisioning you are doing too, right? So those risks you will put in there. We'll have a look at in risk summary in depth in QA also, because risk analysis is a quality assurance activity. You assess the risk even if you don't know you have assessed the risk. And that's how we do. We have grown up. Indians are the best risk assessor. We are the best quality, quality auditors. Believe me, we are best critics. If you don't believe that, well, I can understand that, but still, we are the best critics in the world. Okay, no problem. So I'll move ahead. Okay. Now this is the favorite part. This is what you can say document traceability. How we build this document traceability, right? We talked about what is traceability, how we try to maintain it, and so on and so forth. So the way revision history, there are two things to it: how documents has been evolved and how approval has been evolved. Document revision is basically who authored this thing, who have written this thing, who have reviewed this thing. There are three things happening to our documents: get written, authored, get updated, get modified, get reviewed, and get approved. Approval is the last stage, but overall, as in agility talks about iterative development, these documents get approved iteratively. Okay, so those things have track in these two tables. So we have revision history, where I normally say creation date, version 1, version 1.1.1, version 2, and so on and so forth. Then you as an BA, as an author, and your comments. So in comments, you will write as an business analyst, owner of the document. We will basically do this thing, so don't worry on that part. And then if you're a reviewer of other BA's work, you'll say date, you'll put the version draft is just a draft. If it's a release, then 1.1.1.1, and so on and so forth. Then your name, and then in comments you'll put reviewer of the SRS or FRS for the BA's name, because he's the author, he's the owner. So this is how we maintain the traceability. So एक ने document बनाया, एक ने review किया, so that if he or she, means the other BA for which you are reviewing, you can address the gaps in that document. And this is a formal process. So don't इसमें दुश्मनी नहीं निकालते. इसमें we try to support his work. So the overall intention to make it quality document, make it foolproof in terms of practicability, trying to make the document more effective. That's the overall, requirement of the whole review process as well. You will learn whenever, you have inductions, there are clear guidelines for reviewers. So, the organization, be it Infosys or, any other organizations, they'll have some guideline document for you whenever you sit in the reviewer chair. And as a business analyst, reviewing is a part and parcel of your whole job, because, whenever you join, I think you'll be first start reviewing documents created by others. That's how normal works. And they'll test you as a reviewer for first, 1 or 2 weeks or months, I don't know, depends on organizational policies and procedures. Okay. So reviewing is basically trying to understand what does a guy have written. Like, have he or she created the enough auditory fact for this traceability? Can you trace back the requirement to a stakeholder in the State Farm? Can you trace back to the cashier who is working in State Farm, who have basically a product owner, who are basically started envisioning this idea to improve the attendance management system, and so on and so forth. So these things are crucial for a BA to learn, to basically include in his day-to-day life, and that's how the overall revision history is very important part. Then there is a document approval process. Now, document approval will be done within the organization for you. Okay, the approval of a client is normally taken by the project manager. So you normally a kind of requirement pipe, approval pipe is going through project manager, or the guy who is basically in charge for the overall project ownership, project credibility. So those things. So approval, as far as SRS goes, is your responsibility via PM. That's how we make the team, right? We balance the team. So that's how the overall approval process works. That's how the overall traceability also works. So as a BA working with this PM, as a BA working with this CIO, working with this project in charge, and so on and so forth. There could be many levels, many hats, and as an BA, your integral part, even as a reviewer, you'll just add it to the overall approval process. He reviewed by this and this, and so on, so date, and signed. That's all. Signed is normally we don't follow because it's digitally signed. It's inbuilt in the Word. As far as document flow goes, it's inbuilt in the Excel or the PowerPoint also. If you can see, you can go to File. You can go to Options. Oh yeah, there's a field called Options. Okay, and if you see, could you see these things? Whatever coming my screen. General option for working with PowerPoint, right? So the traceability is inbuilt here. If it's licensed to you, you can have pardon me, you can have your name, or there is an organization name, and there's another name called author name tags here, because this is a single license, so I just have one username. There could be organization's name over here and username slide backward. So if you have something called volume licensing of a Word or Excel or PowerPoint, they have a additional point where the author. So this is done without you knowing it, and this is what the audit trail is all about. So there's a proofing, and here we have additional things. There is even advanced. Here we can track to a seconds level how many words you have added, how many words you have deleted, and so on and so forth. And on top of that, if you want to see these things, who have changed this thing, there's a tag called have you ever tried to do this thing, build a document, what do you call that, compare to create modifications. There's a tab here, not comment, you call it in the home. It should be in the home. Let me play around a bit. Where is that? Not this transition basically. You can track changes. There's a field called track changes. I don't know if you open a Word. Let me show you in a Word basically. If I go to Word and if I try to open, let's say system requirements section. There's a tab called track changes. I don't know why I can't find it, but I will be able to find it. Let me stop this share here and I'll try to share the Word with you. Share Microsoft Word. Could you be able to see the SRS template?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let me check out where the track changes thing comes. Let me check out review. Yes, track changes. Could you see that? Track changes. Okay, so this is basically a visual way to keep track changes. This is how a normal, BA can additionally do as in visual, these things, because whenever you track this thing, there'll be always, whenever you type a word, there'll be a pop-up saying, okay, do you want to, author on your name and so on and so forth. So this is how visually we use track changes. So if I want to track changes, whatever I type, it's a script tag of changes made to this document. So this goes to a word and letter level. So if you delete T and add L, it will show you, and those kind of things. This is done internally by Word itself for the auditory traceability of the document. So you don't have to worry about the traceability as far as a typical document goes, and this system administrator know how to get this out of the Word log or the Word file and all those things. So the traceability actually inbuilt in the Word or any other Microsoft software for that matters. But if you want to enable, you can do the track change enabled and so on and so forth. There are tools available to you in all these documents. Okay, so just to understand how the tracking, how the traceability from start to end is achieved via these documents. Have we understood the traceability and the track part of it? Any confusions here?
Log tracking do? What does log tracking do?
Okay, log tracking is whatever, okay, log tracking is you put a lock on whatever you type, and whoever going to type next will be added to the new document. So if there is a document called version 1.1.4, there'll be document created called 1.1.1.5, so that it'll go to the next document. That person who is editing after you has been forced to rename the document whenever he wants to save. Otherwise, he'll lose his changes. So you lock the document for whatever you created. It's kind of, intermediary lock release. That's what the, label we use. So it's a locked release of a particular document instance. But this is not shared across organization wise, because to share a document organization wise, this has to be labeled in a release. And that, configuration manager or the release manager normally release the, label that document saying the first draft, release pertaining to 1.1.4, and then it will release, so on and so forth. So lock for a release is basically release the document, and whatever comes next has to be renamed forcefully. Okay, does that answer your question, or it's too technical?
Yeah, a bit technical, but
I know, I can understand. I can see that, I can sense that. Yeah, but you understood the requirement and the applicability.
I understand that. So
Okay.
each time if I'm making any changes and there is someone else who is also making changes, and I lock that tracking,
Exactly.
it
Great.
will not be activated. Like his work will move on to the next
Next.
document, you say.
Right, and this is a great sample for what you can say concurrently working or concurrently authoring document.
So isn't that objectable by anybody if they want?
No. This is allowed. This is what the modern tool set is, and the tool is merge the document. Believe me. So let's say if you work on something like एक हिंदी पिक्चर की स्टोरी आप लिख रहे हो, ठीक है, आपने हीरो के इसमें गाना डाला और अगले बंदे ने हीरो के इसमें एक ट्रेजिक सीन डाला. You know how the script work, right, of a typical movie. So ये जो दो स्टेप है ना, ये पैरेलल नहीं चल सकते. So there has to have sequence. But the software have been given an authority. This is what the artificial intelligence is coming in. This is how these softwares are making more enable or making our life easier. So software क्या करेगा यार, पहले जो सीक्वेंस है उसको हैप्पी लिखा हुआ है, तो पहले अपन सॉन्ग डाल देते हैं, बाद में दुख का चीज डालते हैं. ये सॉफ्टवेयर करेगा. I'm just telling you this because you could understand it better. This is not the way it happens, but there are some sequential events written by the administrator who will make this sequential decisions on behalf of you and the other part. If the other person is junior, then it will be come to you as an approval. Ki boss, Usha ne have added this paragraph and Ravindra also added this paragraph, and Ravindra reports to Usha. So the document administrator will send the document again whenever you say save, saying okay, Ravindra have added this para. Do you want to approve it? Do you want to include it before or after? This is what we call document merging. This we want to learn in controlling. This we're going to learn in source safe. There's a topic called source safe in quality assurance and quality control as well, because these documents have to be merged, and that's how to be traced also, right? So these two things happen in the background. But as an BA, you just add your para, and if you're reporting somebody and he's also making changes, it'll come to him or her, saying, okay, Usha have added this para. So do you want to, insert it before, after, or do you want to, ignore it? That's his purview. Okay. And that's how these documents get incremented. You understood the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Anybody have any other questions?
No.
Also, when we create a document, like suppose I'm writing a new SRS based on SR. Suppose if I have to save it somewhere, so do we use a path or something? We create a path for that,
Exactly.
or
Great question. Great question. Nowadays, we normally use Office 360. So whatever you save gets saved on cloud, right?
okay?
Have you seen Office 360?
No, not
Okay. Next time I'll get a video for you. Or if you can go to YouTube, you can search for Office 360 or cloud-based Microsoft Office. This is cloud-based. Whatever you save gets saved on a server somewhere. Okay. So whenever you attach with organizations, they'll give you this software. So there's a small installation on your laptop of like around 10 to 12 MB, which enables your Office version to move to Office 360. So whatever you save gets saved on the company cloud server as a document which you are authoring, and then all this traceability happens in background. Okay, because whatever license have been allotted to you is allotted on your name. So there'll be Ravindra R. Pandey by default. Whenever you pay for the license, they embed these licenses in whatever software you downloaded or whatever you software install on your system. That's how it works. Okay, so that's why basically whenever you install Word or Microsoft Office, it asks for your name just to be in default author for the document whatever you're creating. Okay. Have I answered your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So whenever you have time, have a look at Office 360. Otherwise, I'll get it clubbed in the next training session. Okay.
Sure.
So let's move on. So we understand the traceability. This is critical for a BA because this is how the auditory process works. This is how the overall credits given to the authors, approvals, reviewers, and so on and so forth. Okay. So traceability is an important part of the overall, document progress, requirement progress, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now we'll move to another most important, tool called Excel. Excel, I think everybody might have used. Okay, it's a kind of spreadsheet. There are lots of tables when you start Excel. It's a kind of tabular format. So row and columns, and a row is horizontal, column is vertical, and so on. So we are using Excel from almost 60 odd years. This normally started using as a financial professional document, because they use more Excel than Word because they have more calculation. So there are included calculations, functions within this software, within this, spreadsheet format. And it's cost free because we normally have one. So it's kind of free for, overall price and so on and so forth. It's cost effective, and it's really evolved all over, this decade. It's basically stolen from something called Lotus spreadsheet. I mean, we used those things in 1994, 1995. We used to use something called Lotus spreadsheet, if you ever heard of it, but don't worry. And then Excel copied quite a few functionality. I think Microsoft purchased Lotus, and then the things happen. Then there were problem with Lotus email and Microsoft Outlook, and there are various suits, legal suits, and blah 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 things. So there are some fallouts and all those things as well. Okay. And this is better ad hoc analysis. As we've seen, we can maintain the traceability, we can maintain the overall versions, and so on and so forth. And there are many visualization capability. You can have pie chart, you can have pivot tables, you can have various different type of presentation tools within Excel as well. And also Excel is supporting around 350 odd languages. You have Marathi, Hindi, Urdu, Kannada, all languages are included in Excel. So you could use your language in case if you want to, comment it and so on and so forth. So those things. And interpretability, Excel can be exploited quite a number of different formats. CVS is a standard format which is used for all spreadsheet software in the world, which Excel can export or import. Okay, and this is important because if you are using some open system tool like LibreOffice, I'm just giving you a sample. the format which you save the sheet is in CVS, not XLS or ELXS. Okay, so I think whenever you join an organization, they will tell you which type of spreadsheet tools they use, because BA use Excel sheet extensively, mostly like Word or use case diagram. Okay, and then returning cost is really easy because Excel is known to anybody, so employee know this thing in and out. So this tool is basically, I'm very sure you're going to use it quite a lot. So whenever you have time, try to use Excel, try to get your hands dirty, try to create your address book. Okay, the best thing about Excel, right? You can export your contract from your phone as in CVS file. Who all of you know these things? Be it any phone, be it Apple phone or anything, you can export all your contract as a CVS file, which is a spreadsheet, which can be imported to Excel. So I can save all my contacts, whatever on the phone as of this instant, Excel to a sheet, and can be saved in my email or can be saved somewhere. This is just in case my phone got bad. Sorry?
CSV files, right?
CSV, that's right.
Yeah, I have done
And
it.
Excel can, you have done it, right? Yeah.
I've done it once.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and you need to keep doing this thing at least once in a 6 months, as in be on a safer side. Okay, this is just the kind of life hacks which we learn from each other and so on and so forth. So those things. So that's why Excel is really user friendly. It's really good, and we, I think, work with Excel a lot. So let's try to understand how to use Excel for a BA, right? We collect requirements, we document it, and even Excel to Word is very simple. Means export an Excel table to Word. It's really as simple as cut, copy, paste. Okay, so we'll see that thing also. I think you might have done it, but we can do it for those things. Now, tools, whatever we use as an as a BA, we use pivot tables. Pivot tables are basically a kind of tables where we can select the headers and filter according to our queries. Okay, this is replace the SQL learning for almost all the BAs in the real world. And Excel can be exported to the SQL software like MySQL or MS SQL and all those things. So Excel to SQL is really simple, and a system administrator can do for you. So if you don't want to learn SQL is a cryptic language. It's a programming language. So if you don't learn, we'll have these 4 things doing via Excel. So pivot tables, these are selective tables, or selecting a data from a large number of table. We can do it with pivot tables. Examining the trends, you can plot a graph of the trend depending on the data you have in the Excel. You can sort and filter the data. This is again kind of pivot table, but this is elementary, that's kind of advanced. And creating charts and graph. I can create charts, I can create graphs within the data. We'll see this thing how, and there are various videos available on YouTube as well. And I would love if you can try and play around with Excel whenever you have time. I believe I have a video to share with you as in BA. Yeah, let's start analysis with Excel. Let's try to understand business analysis tool for Excel. Let me try to show you to you. This is really good video. And wait a minute, can I do new share? Okay, I can do new share, but I need to start this. Just give me a minute, please. Okay. किधर गया boss? Okay, now let me share this thing. New share, can I add a share? Could you see this thing?
Members asking about the types of tools that a generalist BA should focus on learning. And as a generalist BA, what I want to do is I want to talk you through how I think about my own tools and what kind of tools I actually use in my day-to-day work when I'm working for my clients. Just a little bit of history on the types of requirements management tools that have existed.
Okay, he is talking about visual. So on a general level, we are talking about the tools BA use on day-to-day life, and this is really latest video. So this talks about all the remote working type of it, all the all those challenges as a new BA face, and how to adapt those challenges. This is a really good video. Have a look at this. Sorry.
And how you should actually think through what kind of tools you should be learning. And so when we talk about tools, this really has to do with the things that you use on a day-to-day basis to produce the artifacts of a business analyst. This doesn't include any enterprise systems like SAP or Oracle knowledge, domain knowledge, or systems knowledge. These are strictly just the tools that we have at our disposal to produce the deliverables that we're expecting to produce. Those are the type of tools that we're talking about here. Now, historically, in the late 2000s, there was a huge push from a lot of software companies to try to build out requirements management tools. And many of those tools have, generally speaking, failed. So many employers who hire business analysts have realized that a lot of the software tools that they used to buy, a lot of requirements management software tools that they used to buy, are either too restrictive or they are too cumbersome for the needs that they have. So what you'll notice is that in a lot of job postings that you see is that most employers will expect you to have a lot of knowledge with Microsoft Office tools, okay? And the reason for that is that the combination of using Microsoft Visio, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, in some cases Microsoft Access, and PowerPoint, if you learn how to master those tools, you're going to have all of the basics that you need to be able to actually do the work of a BA and to produce a lot of the deliverables that business analysts use. The important thing is in how you actually learn to use those tools. You need to make sure that you master them and that you're using them in a way where you can produce artifacts very, very quickly. And I'll show you an example of how I actually use Visio to do this in a minute. But basically, in terms of the types of tools that you want to invest in, very basic. Keep it as simple as possible, unless the employer that you have, the target employer that you want to work for, is asking you to have very specific tools. So for some of the examples there would be, you might see, for example, some companies will ask you to have some experience with Jira or with, I think there's a piece of software called HP Service Center, right? These pieces of software help the companies to manage the workload. So they're more like project management software. So those types of tools, once you learn how to use one, Asana, for example, is another one that I think companies use. But once you learn how to use that class of software, they're more or less the same. You just need to get yourself familiar with how certain types of project management software work. But those tools are not really centered around helping you produce your artifacts, right? The tools that help you produce your artifacts, the main one is Microsoft Visio. If I was to encourage you to learn any one tool inside out, it would be Microsoft Visio. And I'll show you in a second why I talk about why I encourage people to learn Microsoft Visio. The second tool that I encourage everyone to learn really is are the basics. Microsoft Word is critical. Okay, so if you learn how to use Microsoft Visio and Microsoft Word, you probably have a good 80% of the tools that you actually need to produce a lot of the artifacts that you're going to be expected to produce, right? Very simple. Excel would probably be the next one on the list, and then I would say SharePoint is one that a lot of companies use, but SharePoint is not something that you would have access to unless you actually get into the office and you get your SharePoint access. That's enterprise class software that isn't normally available to individuals. So I would say keep the tools very, very basic. Learn how to master Visio, learn how to master Microsoft Word and Excel, and use those tools use those very basic tools, but sharpen up your actual business analysis skills. And so it's way more important in how you actually use these tools than what tools you actually use, okay? And what I mean by that is that behind me here, I have an example of a Visio document. And this is the document that I'm actually using to produce one of our courses. So you'll see some of these diagrams in future courses that we offer. But the important lesson here is in how I actually use this tool. So in many cases, you'll see people using Microsoft Visio and having tabs across the bottom and having basically one diagram per tab. That's not effective way of using it. The way that I use Microsoft Visio is that what I do is I create one gigantic canvas, okay? And instead of having multiple different tabs, what I do is I put all of my artifacts on one canvas. And that difference might not seem like it's a big difference, but when you're in a workshop and you have a set of people sitting in front of you, many of which are very senior people whose time is very important, you want to make sure that you are not being clunky with the tools that you use. And so when somebody asks you a question about a certain artifact, you can't afford, right in under that pressure, you have 10, 15 different eyes looking at you. You can't afford to start clicking through all of the different tabs and trying to figure out which diagram you need to show to your stakeholders just to answer one question. That is a very ineffective way of doing things, because what you'll do in that workshop is you'll start to lose the attention of many of the people, because they're saying, well, we're sitting here waiting for you to now search through stuff just to answer the one question. We have 5 or 10 other questions that are coming up. Doing things in this way, putting everything on one canvas and then figuring out how to navigate from one diagram to another diagram in the way I'll demonstrate for you in a second, that is a huge benefit to your skill set, right? The tool is very simple, but it's in how I've taught myself how to use the tool that makes me very effective in workshops and very effective in very high pressure situations. So for example, let's say I wanted to talk about a diagram that is a to-be process flow. I know exactly the way that I've oriented myself with this is I know exactly where that tool is on this gigantic canvas, and I've taught myself how to actually zoom right in, specifically right into that diagram, and to talk about this as much as I need to be able to answer a question or to be able to handle an issue. And when somebody asks a question about a completely different element of what it is that I'm producing, all I do is, instead of just clicking along the bottom to try to find what I need, all I would do, let's say for example, I needed to look at the entity model that we need to discuss. I would very quickly zoom out, I would go over to it, and I would just put it up very quickly, 0 time wasted, everybody's attention is still on the board, and everybody's still engaged in that meeting, right? Now, if it was to take me 30 seconds and I'm basically wasting the attention of 15 different people clicking, trying to find something that I need, if I have to do that over and over and over again, that builds up over the course of an hour or a 2-hour meeting. That builds up, and a lot of people will become frustrated and a little bit annoyed with you, and you'll start to lose the engagement of people. People won't be paying attention. They'll be doing other things. Their attention's going to dissipate. And so a very simple tool, Microsoft Visio, master it. Okay, and if you need tips, if you want to learn how to do things the way that I do with Visio, I'm willing to teach you. That's not a problem, just ask. But you have to make sure that you use your tools in a way where it's very, very effective. Keep your tool set as simple as humanly possible. When it comes to Microsoft Word, for example, again, very, very simple. All I do is I have all of my scope documents, all of the detailed requirements and functional specification documents that I produce are usually all in Microsoft Word. And with the combination of Word and Visio that I use, let me pull up our requirements document here, sample requirements document. If I was to scroll down a little bit, you'll see that much of the diagrams that I had produced in my Visio file now exist inside of my Word document, right? And so what I do is I do a lot of my modeling, and when I'm presenting to people and I'm on workshops, I usually use Visio. But when I need to put things into a document that's going to require client sign off, I don't send them a Visio file. What I do is I write it all out in a requirements document. I paste in the diagrams that we've already all discussed and agreed to, and I send out the Word document for sign off, right? Very simple. So that's how I, as a generalist BA, use the tools. I would love to hear about anybody who has works in a specialty environment that has specific tools that they use, about what their experiences are like. But as a generalist BA, I keep things as simple as possible. And what I do is I try to learn how to be as effective as humanly possible with the very simple tools that I have. So I hope that that helps to answer the question. And
Okay, this was more of basically how to use multiple tools. rather than, typical Excel tools. So we just basically trying to understand how the BA on actual ground works, right? We've seen Visio, we've seen Microsoft, right? He was also trying to paste the diagram. It can be something like Lucid chart, or it can be something like, a handwritten image can be pasted in the Word, and then you can send it for approval, or you can upload it to a organizational data. We've seen the glimpse of Office 365. Those all documents are on the Office cloud server. So whenever you say save, it's get saved or released to the Office server. Otherwise, it's on your local system. So this is how overall things works. And yes, you are going to present your requirement document to very senior people, and that's how he depicted it. So your inability or your art in presentation also does a real play here, because the faster the approvals, the faster will be the move to the next step. And that's how the overall thing works. Let me plan another video for you specifically for Excel, and we'll have a look at that. This is basically trying to understand Excel from a BA point of view, which is a kind of need overall. These are called essential shortcuts for business management, business analyst.
For management consultants and business analysts. If you work as a management consultant or business analyst, most likely you'll be spending a lot of time on Excel, and it'll be extremely important for you to increase your efficiency with this tool. And there are actually two ways to do it. So one way is to know the right formula, and the second one is to know the shortcuts. And in this short movie, I'll talk about.
You are able to see the video, right?
Yes, but the volume is little slow.
Okay, I'll increase the volume, no problem. Yeah.
About 7 essential shortcuts you should master. So I'll show you how to select rows with shortcuts, how to remove rows and columns, group them. Then I'll show you how to move fast around the Excel, how to add hyperlinks, how to see formulas at once, and last but not least, how to reach the menu with shortcuts. Enjoy the movie, and if you want to see more tips, have a look at my online course. You will have the link in the description of the movie, and subscribe to my online channel. In many cases, you would like to work with an entire row or entire column, or even a selection of columns. And for this, we also have shortcuts, which are extremely useful once you are working with a big file or you're doing a lot of business modeling. So here, for example, we can try to change the formatting of the last cell, which is the total. So if I wanted to select the entire row, it's enough to press Shift Space, and then I can perform the other actions on this. So for example, change it from...
I'll just share the video, so don't worry about writing down and all. Just try to understand how, let's say this is a kind of sales report, right? Just this is, I'm throwing as an example. I think this is comparison methods for acquiring the customer. So this is a kind of overall sales strategy demonstration what he's trying to do. He's, I believe, a Chinese or a Korean fellow, so you need to bear with the English. We need to understand how the collected data is represented in Excel as in BA. We've seen, right, how BA has to present all his documents in front of all top class people, where we're trying to basically get the things approved, get the things shown to the other stakeholders who will start working overall on the next cycles of the project, product, services, whatever you're trying to make, right? This is after you gathered the requirement. You could add these data points, whatever you got after gathering requirements, and then showcase it in a good visual format. That's the overall intention of Excel utilization as in BA. Okay, now we are trying to see many major ways to do it, which followed all over worldwide as an senior BA, how they do it. So this is really important, and this will basically affect in your day-to-day life as well. You can have your cost sheet, you can have your expenses track, you can have our income and outcome and balance sheet and those kind of scenario as well. So you could use Excel day in, day out, and it will make really, make your life easy, believe me, because everything has a traceability, and that's what we're going to use it. So मैंने कब ऐड किया, कब खर्चा किया, ये कौन से इसमें से डिडक्ट हुआ, कौन से अकाउंट में से डिडक्ट हुआ, that I can track out. And many of us might be doing it, so I'm just trying to reiterate this thing for everybody else. Okay, any confusion, just let me know, and we can revise these things.
Bold to a normal or change to underline. As you can see, we can do it faster. If I wanted to select more things, then why I have done this. So first you do the shift space, and then you still keep the shift pressed, and then you move with the arrows up if I wanted to get something which are above, and down if it's something below. I can also press the control while holding the shift, and then I basically would get all the, as you can see, all the rows. So in this way, we can take all of them and then, for example, change the formatting to bold everywhere, or simply remove them, for example, like this. So this you can do with the shortcuts. So again, shift space to select one. And then if you want to select more, then you keep the shift and then you use the up and down arrow. You can also do it the other way around. So start with selecting shift and upper or lower arrow, the rows, and then pressing the space, so shift space. And then this is how you select the entire rows. With the columns, it's exactly the same. The only thing which differs is the shortcuts we use. So for the row, we used shift space, and for the column, you use control space. So you press control space, then you, by keeping the shift with the left or right arrow, you can select the rows and again perform any operations you like them to have. So as you can see, it's very fast because I can do in instance all the movements. So for the column, you press control space, and then if you want to have more columns selected, you press shift and then the right or left arrow. And for the row, you press shift space. And if you want to get more rows, then you press the shift and then play with the arrows. Let's make a small recap. So to select an entire row, you press shift and space for both PC and Apple. Then if you want to select more, you keep the shift pressed and then you use the arrows up or down. For getting the entire column, you press control space. And to get more columns, you keep the shift and you play with the arrows right or left. Now it's time to see how we can add and remove rows and columns. It will build upon the last lecture when we learned how to select entire row or entire column. So if I would like to add a row, then I have to first select the entire row, so shift space, and then you press control shift plus. One more time. So you select the row by pressing shift space and then control shift plus. If you would like to remove the row, it's almost exactly the same. So first you select the entire row, so shift space, and then you press control minus, and we have removed the entire row. So one more time, I'm pressing shift and space to select the entire row and then control minus to remove it. We do almost the same with the column. So first we have to select the column, the entire column. So I press control space, and then to add exactly the same as we did for the row. So control shift plus. So again, control space to select the entire column, and then control shift plus to add new column. In order to remove relatively the same manner, so again, I have to select the entire column. So control space and then control minus to remove it. As you can see, this is how we done. Let's make a short recap on how you can add columns and remove them. So adding columns and rows is done in two steps. So the first one, I press shift and space to select the entire row, both in PC and Mac, and then control shift plus to add the new row. If I would like to do the same for the column, I first have to select, so control space, and then control shift plus to add it. So as you can see, for adding the row and adding the column, the second step is the same. And it's relatively easy to copy it for removing the rows. So the first step is selecting the row, so shift space, and control minus removing it, both for the PC and exactly the same formats we have for Mac. For columns, again, control space to select the column and then control minus to remove it. The same goes for Mac. And as you can see, the second step here and here, so for the row and column is exactly the same. So control minus for removing the entire column or entire row. Quite often you like to group rows or columns in one, so make them less visible, and to use the top-down approach. So for example, in the sheets here, you have the rows I would like to group somehow. And there is a very nice shortcut to do this. It will be a 3-step attempt. So first you have to select an entire row, so shift space. Then you keep the shift pressed and then you use the arrows. So here I would use the down arrow, and last step in grouping them would be pressing shift alt and then arrow to the right. So like this. And as you can see, we have grouped it very fast. Let's do it also here. So shift space, then we keep the shift, we go with the arrow down, and then we press shift alt and then the arrow to the right. And as you can see, it's grouped, so we can go back and forth. Ungrouping is very easy. So again, we have to select the rows we want to ungroup. We press the shift space to select the entire row. Then we, again, by keeping shift, move with the arrow down. And then now, instead of keeping the arrow to the right, we press shift alt and then the arrow to the left. And we have removed. Right, it's adding, and left is removing. Now I have still pressed shift alt and I can play with the arrows to the right and to the left. You can do exactly the same with the columns. So for example, let's assume that we want to group the column E and F. So again, I have to select the entire column. So I press Control space. I've selected. Now I keep shift pressed and then I use the arrow to the right. And then I press shift alt and then the arrow to the right. And as you can see, we have managed to group those columns. And again, if I'm to ungroup them, I press shift alt and then the arrow to the left. So to the right, grouping, and then to the left, ungrouping, provided obviously that you have pressed at the same time shift and alt. So again, for the column, you press Control space, then you press shift and then the arrow to the right, and shift alt and again to the right to group it, and shift alt and the arrow to the left to ungroup it. So let's make a short recap on grouping and ungrouping. So if you want to group the rows, you should do it in 3 steps. So first select the entire row, shift space, then use the shift and the arrow to the down or up to select more rows, and then shift alt and the right arrow in order to group the rows. And for the columns, it's almost the same. So obviously we use different formula for selecting an icon, so Control space. But the rest, as you can see, it's the same. So selecting more columns is shift and the arrow, in this case, arrow to the right, and shift alt, the arrow to the right to group the columns. In the case of ungrouping,
is it getting too boring and repetitive at this moment? What do you feel? Should we go ahead?
Yes. Oh, yes, it's little boring.
Yeah, too much for
Okay.
us to.
What I'll do, I'll share the video with you on the group, and you can have a look at it. It's a good video, it's good learning, and that's why we're going to use this thing at the end of the day. So I think most probably our next lecture we'll start analyzing each and every formula which normally BA use. There are around 15-16 odd formulas which we'll learn, and then we'll try to adopt it in a situation, what situation we would like to use, and to learn those things. So that's why using Excel is also as important as use case, if not less. And this will basically give BA the actual tool for presentation. Okay, and even use case you present, you can include the use case in Word document. We know Word in and out, so no problem. If you know Excel well and good, what is required for a job as an BA, it's well and good, and we can start working on those things. So that's why I have included this. I believe that's enough right now. Let's start on our basic. Where's that? I just dropped this thing. Let me close this one. So I'll share this thing with you, so don't worry on that part. Okay, could you see my sheet? Could you see my presentation thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Sure. So we are basically trying to learn, because Excel is one of the most important thing as far as overall analytic career goes. So as in BA, you'll be using anything as a tool as far as use case goes. This depends on organizations. Word and Excel are really simple, and nowadays every organization gives you an Office 360 license which you could use. It's really easy, and all the documents get saved on documentation server with all the credentials and everything inbuilt in your Office 360. So you don't have to worry about the login, password, and all those things that for these tools. Okay, now we'll just see how to use this thing as an Excel basically, right? So as we talked, we use pivot tables. We use overall for these things. I think I have a pivot table, but this will be another this thing big video. Let me go ahead. Okay, these are the Excel functions which we'll be learning overall. Okay, and there are around, I think, 15 odd functions which are included in this thing. This will make sure Excel is really good and cheesy software to use as we were using. But as in BA, this is the tools which is really come handy, because it's a kind of required, or it's a kind of overall use for presenting whatever you did, as an including research analysis, including overall the cost comparisons and so on and so forth. So there are these Excel functions which we're going to use. We'll see to that. And what else? Then we'll basically start on the other tools like product roadmaps. We'll have mind maps. We'll try to learn about these tools, how to use this thing, how to basically plot, and those things, pestle analysis and all. And that's how the overall sequence of the training goes, as far as training goes. So I believe you understood how BA functions in a normal organizations. Any confusion on what comes to BA, what expect out of BA?
No, I'm good. I think you are explaining it very nicely.
Thank you. What about you, Santosh?
Yes.
Great. Revati? Revati is there, right?
Together.
Revati is here.
Yeah, we are together.
Yeah, because you are also participant. I need to get your agreement as well. So that's why I'm asking. Sheetal, you're good?
Yes, I'm good too.
Okay, great, no problem. Any questions you can ask me those things, and go ahead. I'll believe we'll stop here today. And I'll share those video. Do view. I'm leaving you early because I don't want to really bore you with those Excel mumbo jumbos. Try to do it on your own. Try to play around it, or try to go on YouTube and try to get what you can say Excel hands-on. There are quite a few workshops available there. Means if you go to YouTube, you can have really good tools available as far as BA workshops and all those things. So just play around with the Excel few minutes. I believe we are really good in use case. I want to be similarly acquainted with Excel, so that the three basics tools we use. We know use case diagram up to a great depth. We know Word because we use day in day out, and we know overall Excel. So if you work with these three, you are good enough to start as an BA. There are other tools which organizations suggest as an best use tool industry wide. We're going to understand those tools as well, but we'll not go into depth in terms of using these tools or trying to. We are there and we could try. If you have any particular preference for a tool, do let me know. We can work on that. But we at least must know use case diagramming, using of Word and using of Excel, right? Using Word and Excel is pretty similar because they come from a same software vendor called Microsoft, right? And everybody works with Microsoft because we have a license and everything, even in our home laptop, right? So we'll use these tools as per the best of our knowledge, and all the other supporting tools, we'll have a look at it, how and what are the specialty of the tools. Wherever somebody try to use SWOT analysis, why use those analysis, what are the tools available for that process, why to use fishbone diagram for requirement elicitation and so on. So we'll have a look at that also, so that we can understand these tools well and good, so that whenever if somebody requests you, you can use those tools to your level best. And even that organization will give you a training if they specify these tools to used by you. Okay, so knowing how and basically getting hands really worked up on these tools is more than sufficient for a BA to start working. But still, we have to understand the overall environment, how BA works, whom to report to, how to include the quality assurance, quality control, and the Scrum, how to be a part of agility as a project team, because project team is where your document is going to get evolved, document is going to get clubbed together, and they'll start building the product or project or services based on of your document. That's called SRS. Now again, what I've seen in video, that guy called it as a requirement document rather than specification. So these labels, these name calling do change as per the regions, as per the overall requirement of the project environment given in a company. For Infosys, it's a standard CMMI level 5 company. So these are quality benchmark. When you say ISO, CMMI, these are quality certification which those company acquired as a matured processes company. Okay, ISO is for results, ISO is for product, CMMI is for the processes. So CMMI level 5 company is the most process matured company, where traceability is required by organizational policies, where all the progress of a documents, progress of a typical execution of a process is checked. or audited, right? So this is levels of quality levels. So we are going to adapt to the best quality standards and best quality levels, and I'll enable you to work with the even startup for that matters. Means startup, they don't spend on tools, so you know normally need to use something like lucid chart, something like pen and paper diagram as far as use case goes, something Word or Excel, be it something like Microsoft Word or Excel, Office 365. It is really, you know, I'll not say cheap, but it's economical, because you know I believe the overall, you know, monthly charges for Microsoft Office is around $4 to $5, if I'm not mistaken, for a, you know, home. For you know, commercial, they have certain, you know, addition to that, and you know, so on and so forth. So but it's really good to use Office 360. Even your laptop uses very less storage space because everything is on a cloud, so you need to have some cloud space for that. So you might need 1 or 2 GB at some cloud server. So whatever you do will be pushed there. In an organizations, when they give you license, the cloud server is of this organizational archival system. So whatever you do as an author or as a reviewer will be logged, those you know, auditory proofs there, and in the backend it will be working for you on behalf of you. So those kind of, you know, background processor also we understood today, how the audit trails work, how the traceability is maintained in this document, right? So just think it through. I'll request Devji to release the, you know, recording as early as possible, so you can, you know, revisit these things, and also, you know, kind of do a homework whenever you get time. Okay, and I'll definitely share that Excel video with the shortcut keys, so that you can, you know, do your hands dirty on Excel. And next class we're going to learn Excel, these 15 odd formulas, so that we know how, you know, what are the formulas BA use and for what purpose this formula is important for a BA. Out of 15, I believe you're going to use at least, you know, 10 to 14 formulas on your in your, you know, BA's first month life as a BA. Believe me, these are that important. And if you can master these 3, you can start working as an BA. That's where we are reaching now. Okay. So any questions, any, you know, requests for me at this moment?
Here, sir.
Yes.
Come again, please. Sorry.
So yesterday you gave us the homework to make a use case diagram.
Yes.
So we all did that, but can you just specify us to where we need to more improve, or where it should be like?
No, you shared that thing. Means I have got those diagrams from. Let me, you know, open the WhatsApp chat. I got the diagram from Santosh. I got the diagram from Usha, and I think yesterday, you know, we had 2 diagrams. So I think I got the diagram from all the 4 of you. So no challenges there. And I know you understood the overall, you know, philosophy of a use case. You can collect requirement. It's in use case. You can create those diagrams. And we'll learn more about use case in our workshop also. So don't feel left behind. Don't feel like, you know, we are missing something out. I do change these things. So don't worry on that part. I'll make sure, you know, you'll reach the maturity of knowledge which you require for at least 3 to 4 years BA experience. So we're going to, you know, park our vehicle at that level. So you will feel after this training at the end of, let's say, you know, November or December first week, you'll feel that you're working as a BA for at least 3 to 5 years. And that's how, you know, we'll depict in your overall experience certificate as well. So don't worry on that part. We'll make sure the maturity of the thought process, maturity of the tools usage, you have reached that level. And even the the QA, QC, as well as Scrum training will enable you to understand the experience where you're going to join and where whatever is expected out of you. So don't worry on that part. Okay.
I had a question. The Scrum training will be the entire Scrum part will be in depth, or just?
No, it's for the BA. But you can say it's the entire path, because entire, you know, you don't normally do project manager responsibility, but it's good to know what project manager was supposed to do. Okay, so those kind of stuff. So we will learn as an holistic, but even if you understand the part which you are responsible to, it's more than enough. Okay. We have the complete, you know, because all these tracks have its own, you know, technical words. That's what we can label them. So know-how of these technical words, like if somebody says BRD to you, you know what is BRD, right? So those kind of mumbo jumbos we need to learn, we need to understand, and you can write it somewhere on your with your pen and paper. so that you can revisit these words, and this is how the others can judge you ki you are experienced BA or you are started learning, or doing your learning now or something like that. So knowing this mumbo jumbo is the most important part. Knowing the overall process, what are the inputs, what are the outputs, and all those things, those also show your caliber and experience overall. So doing this really make you a complete full-fledged BA after learning QA, QC, and Scrum overall. That's how we plan this training.
Okay. Yeah, that's what.
That's does that answer your question completely, or you still have some confusions?
No. I don't have any confusions because I was researching about the BA requirements also. So there is a lot of like ordinary BA, only a person with business analyst knowledge is not that
Required.
much
I know.
important or considered the best. If it is Scrum, if the Scrum is included,
Yes.
definitely the value of the BA is increased.
Right, and QA QC additionally is really improves because as an BA you normally put on these hats. You will be overall reviewer for the documents as well as the software, developed software. So you will be using the system as an user, okay, within the company. So before that software has been released to State Farm, if you're working for Infi, they'll have you as an use the system because you envisioned it, right? You know the requirements, you have drafted those requirements, so you know the requirements. So the conformance to the requirement after BA's approval is really crucial nowadays. That's a normal agile processes based industry based practices we follow. That's why QA QC and Scrum, because Scrum is a kind of way of life of a project evolution in any company. So whenever you join something, and if you know Scrum, if you know the or agility principles, you will be on top of your rank. And whenever, God forbid, if there are layoffs, if you have these three skills in your pocket, you will be a critical employee of our organization. That's how we design this course.
Yeah.
So this course is basically
target. Yeah, we won't be the primary target of the institution.
Exactly, being laid off. And believe me, we want to steer away the training as much as from the programming part of it. So these tools will enable you to not to do programming, but to use the tools effectively. That's why I'm taking time in use case diagram. I'm taking time in Excel as well, because this will make your an effective BA without programming. That's how the overall training is planned, and still a very critical resource for a given organizations. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Today's session is like we really need the recording as early as possible.
I know. I can understand that. I can feel the need for it. But as we said, Devji has some time restrictions, and even the overall review team has some things on their table. So please bear with me. I'll request Devji today. I'll have a call with him, and I'll try to release this recording as early as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the patience, and thanks for pardon me for the delay and all.
No,
okay.
no, thank you very much.
So let's meet on today's Tuesday.
Today's Monday.
Wednesday we'll meet. Okay.
No, Wednesday we'll meet. Today is Monday.
Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
Today is your Monday, my Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So Wednesday evening we are meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Chalo. Thanks. Good night. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Take care. I just stopped the recording.